So, you're thinking about buying a home in California? That's huge. But the whole mortgage process, it can feel like a total maze. The good news is you're not alone in there. The state has a very specific set of rules that act like your personal roadmap. Today, we're going to break down that map and show you the key protections that can turn a really confusing process into a clear path to your new front door. It is, seriously, one of the most exciting decisions you'll ever make. I mean, finding that perfect place is an absolute thrill. But let's be real, when it comes to the financing part, all that excitement can pretty quickly turn into anxiety. Suddenly, you're just surrounded by stacks of paperwork, words you've never heard before, and all these complex numbers. It is so easy to feel like you're completely lost, not sure which way to turn, or honestly, who you can even trust. And that is exactly where California's regulations come in to save the day. They are your guide. Try not to think of them as restrictions, but more like a map that was designed specifically to lead you safely through the whole process and protect you from taking a really costly wrong turn. This map, its main purpose is to help you avoid a huge danger: predatory lending. This covers all sorts of shady stuff, like flipping, where a lender might encourage you to refinance over and over again, just so they can rack up fees, or packing, where they sneak in extra products you never even asked for. These rules are your shield against that kind of thing. Okay, so the very first step on our journey is to figure out who our guide is. You need to know exactly who you're working with, and more importantly, how to check that they're legit. All right, get ready for a weird fact, and this comes straight from the state's own documents. California doesn't actually issue a specific thing called a mortgage broker license. I know, right? So if that's what you're looking for, you're not going to find it. So what are you supposed to be looking for instead? Well, instead of one single license, professionals use one of three different types to arrange loans. And the vast majority of them operate under a real estate broker license, which comes from the Department of Real Estate. So how do you check? Thankfully, the law is super clear about this. Any ad for a loan has to spell out these three things. It has to name the license they're using, it has to name the Department of Real Estate, or just DRE, and, this is the big one, it has to include their unique 8-digit license number. This is your first and easiest step to verify everything. All right, you've verified your guide. Check. Now it's time to actually read the map they give you. You know, the paperwork that lays out every single step of your financial journey. Now, the single most important document you will see is the Mortgage Loan Disclosure Statement, or MLDS for short. This thing is your most powerful tool. It's not optional. It's a state-mandated summary of every single key feature of the loan they're offering you. And I'm not exaggerating its importance. The state itself calls the MLDS the heart of its consumer protection law. Its whole purpose is to pull back the curtain and make sure you have complete transparency about the costs, the terms, and all the conditions before you're on the hook for anything. And the law gives you time to breathe. As soon as you hand in a completed loan application, the broker has just 3 business days to get you that MLDS. You then have to sign it, but that signature is just to prove you've seen it, not that you agree to the loan. You do that before you're committed. This isn't a race, it's a very measured, protected process. And there's some serious legal muscle behind all this. A really important court case established that your broker has what's called a fiduciary duty to you. Now, that's a powerful legal term. It means they are required by law to act in your best interest, not their own. They have to be fair and honest, period. Okay, now let's get into the part everybody is thinking about: the money. How much does this all cost, and what are the legal limits on what your broker is allowed to charge? It's the most straightforward question, and thankfully, the law gives a pretty straightforward answer. To stop people from getting hit with crazy fees on smaller loans, where the fees could be a huge chunk of the loan itself, the state puts hard caps on both commissions and other expenses. So the state sets these really clear maximums for broker commissions. As you can see, the percentage changes based on if it's a first loan or a junior loan, like a second mortgage, and how long the loan term is. Now, it's really important to know that these specific protections apply to first loans under $30,000 and junior loans under $20,000. And it's not just commissions that have a limit. The law also caps how much you can be charged for all those other costs and expenses, like the appraisal and escrow fees. The charge can't be more than 5% of the loan, or $390, whichever is greater, but it can absolutely never be more than $700. That's a hard ceiling. And the safety net just keeps going. The law also limits late fees. It says brokers can't force you to buy credit life insurance. It restricts prepayment penalties, and it even bans those really risky balloon payments on most short-term loans. It's a pretty comprehensive system. So these rules all sound great, but who is actually making sure they're being followed? Let's meet the watchdogs who give all these consumer protections their teeth. You're actually protected by a two-level system. At the state level, you've got the California Department of Real Estate, the DRE. They're the main regulator, issuing licenses and enforcing all these specific state rules we've been talking about. Then, at the national level, the Federal Trade Commission, or FTC, steps in. They enforce bigger federal laws like the Truth in Lending Act. And believe me, these agencies mean business. If a broker violates an FTC order, they could face penalties of up to $11,000 per day. Yeah, that is a very powerful reason to follow the rules and treat people fairly. We've covered a lot of ground, so let's boil all of this down into the most critical takeaways for your home buying journey. Here it is, your simple 3-step checklist to stay in control. First, always verify the broker's license number in their ads. Second, treat that mortgage loan disclosure statement like gold. Read it carefully in your 3-day window. And third, know that there are legal limits on what you can be charged. See? Armed with this map, you're no longer just a passive passenger on this ride. You're an informed navigator. You know the signs to look for, you know the questions to ask, and you are ready to find your way home confidently and securely.